A lot of the things that we're seeing going on in the earthly temple will relate to the heavenly temple. So when we see this sea of glass before the throne, well, we got to go back to the temple that we know here on earth and how it actually relates to, well, ultimately the cleansing and the labor that is before the tabernacle. So over in Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 5, it says, well, let me actually get some context here because it is talking about the priest and the temple. In verse 2, a minister of the sanctuary and a true sanctuary with the Lord erected and not man. Of course, it's talking about Christ. For every high priest is appointed to offer both gifts and sacrifices. Therefore, it is necessary that this one also has something to offer. And of course, all of the relation to man. For if he were on earth, he would not be a priest. That is, Christ would not be a priest because he wasn't of the right order. He wasn't from the right family, that is. Since there is a priest who offered the gifts according to the law, who served the copy and the shadow of the heavenly things. So on earth, the priesthood, the Levitical priesthood, related to a shadow of the things in the heavens. Christ actually serves in the heavenly temple, not the earthly temple. He is under a different priesthood. He is the Melchizedek priesthood, which relates to us as the church, because he is our high priest. But we see the earthly tabernacle and the earthly temple that actually is a shadow of the things above. So over in Exodus chapter 30 and verse 18, we see the laver of bronze that was before you actually went in and you could serve God. So in Exodus chapter 30 and verse 18, you shall also make a laver of bronze, and with it, with its base also of bronze for washing. And of course, you shall put it between the tabernacle of meeting and the altar, and you shall put water in it. And then the sons of Aaron, they're going to go and they're going to wash their hands and their feet before they can actually come in and serve the Lord. Now it's called a little bit, it's called the molten sea over in 1 Kings chapter 7, and this is when after they have Solomon building the temple, and here you see this, and he made, this is in 1 Kings chapter 7, verse 23, and he made the sea of cast iron, this molten sea, 10 cubits from one brim to the other. Well, he's talking about the same thing, but the way they're talking about it is it's huge. It's a very big basin. It's not small. And they kind of describe it as a sea before there. And he gives the actual measurements of this. And this, of course, is in the temple here on the earth. So we see that both being used or referred to as a sea here on earth also because of the size of it. And that's what it's talking about. After the rapture of the church, there is no need for cleansing for those who serve in the temple. Okay, those of the church are like Christ. So when it comes to as you have this sea before the throne, in order to actually serve in the temple, you would have to wash. That is, anybody related to the priesthood would have to wash. Well, the church is actually resurrected, so there is no need for that labor anymore. We don't wash before we go in and we actually do our priestly service. So that's what it's talking about here. So we also see over in 1 John, well, it's a reference here because the church is going to be like Christ. 1 John chapter 3 and verse 2. This, by the way, is an interesting thing when we really follow the process of the rapture and what happens at the rapture. Remember, the rapture is not the second coming of Christ. The rapture has to happen before the second coming of Christ can happen. And one of the reasons is, and this even goes back to, what was it, Enoch, who, the seventh from Adam, who prophesied that the Lord will come with myriads of his saints. Well, how did the saints get there? So the rapture is what it's talking about. That's how the saints actually get there, so that they can come back with the Lord. Um, so when the rapture happens, the church will be taken off the earth. Okay, all of the saints who have come before us, and I say us as though we're going to be the actual generation that is alive when Christ returns, which I pray we are. But even if we're not, we'll be with the other group. So the saints who have died before, they will come back. They will be resurrected with us, and we will all be resurrected. We will go up to the Bema seat, and the Bema seat is the place of rewards. And I was kind of thinking about this the other day because this is not going to be a place of purgatory. You are not going to suffer for your sins. Your sins have already been dealt with. The only thing that's going to happen is your works are going to be weighed. So you're going to see basically probably something equivalent to a supernova of all the bad works of all the church saints just going up in flames and they're gone forever. Boom, instantly.